For geographers and linguists, another important classification involves the historical relationships among languages. In this lecture, we will examine language families, Hearths, and diffusion. This is important to geographers to gain a better understanding of where languages began and spread throughout the world. An important system of classification involves language families and the origins of these languages. Language family is a collection of languages that share a common but distant ancestor. Scholars are not quite sure exactly when languages began because most began orally and were never written down. However, today they are classified into about 9 different families. These pie charts show the language family percentage in 2 ways. The pie chart on the left shows the number of languages each family contains. However, the pie chart on the right paints a very different picture when you look at the percentage of people who speak the languages of the different language families. For example, only 6% of the people speak the 22% of Niger-Congo languages, while 45% of the people speak only the 6% of the Indo-European languages. Where languages originated is another element that is examined, and we do that by looking at the language hearth. A hearth is a place or region where an innovation, idea, belief, or cultural practice begins. The map identifies the hearths of the 6 language families listed in bold-faced type in the legend. 2 hearths have question marks to call attention to the debate over the origins of the Indo-European language family. The hearth of the Austronesian language family coincides with the small island of Taiwan. In reference to the Indo-European hearth, there are 2 hypotheses that explain the origin. The Kurgan hypothesis proposes that the hearth of the Indo-European languages lies north of the Caspian Sea, near what is now the border between Russia and Kazakhstan. It was said that when herders domesticated the horse, they rode from this area and spread their language to the east and west about 4000 BCE. In contrast, the Anatolian hypothesis places the hearth of the Indo-European language family in present-day Turkey, and the spread of the language came when the Anatolian farmers expanded east and across Central Asia and west into Europe about 7000 BCE. Regardless, a keynote to mention, however, is that the Indo-European languages did not originate in Europe as the name suggests. Within large language families like the Indo-European family, some languages are more closely related than others. These are grouped into branches that may be further divided into subgroups or individual languages. The photo on the right shows the Indo-European language family tree with all its branches. When reviewing the diagram, the prefix proto identifies an ancestral language. The languages in brackets lack written records, and the languages in italics are extinct. One technique for classifying languages into family compares the sounds and meanings of words. The table demonstrates similarities among several Indo-European languages. For example, the Polish word for 3 sounds like Ch4. And because Hindi is written in the Devanagari alphabet, the words here have been transliterated into the Latin alphabet to facilitate comparison. As you can see, all the Romance languages developed from Latin, an Italic language that became the language of the citizens of Rome in about 6th century BCE. The rise and expansion of the Roman Empire thus spread the Latin language across much of Europe. Within the Roman Empire, 2 classes of Latin existed, a standardized written form that came to be known as Classical Latin, and a non-standardized spoken form called Vulgar Latin, the language of the common person. Vulgar Latin varied from place to place within the Roman Empire, and that different dialects existed. This spatial variation in the spoken forms of Vulgar Latin contributed to the gradual evolution and emergence of the different Romance languages we see today. There are many factors that have contributed to the spread of languages across the globe. The spread of agriculture, technology, transportation, telecommunications, colonization, economic, and religion have all contributed to the diffusion of languages. The map shows how European colonization played a major role in the diffusion of certain European languages, including French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Today, these languages still influence the linguistic geography of many countries, but in varying degrees. Please pause the video and answer the following. Where might the Indo-European language family have originated, and how did it spread? In your own words, using the text as a guide, be thorough and specific with your answer.